All right, what's up, Gear Junkies? Welcome to Gear Talk. As always, I am your humble host with the most, Jason Girallo. And today on Gear Talk, we're talking Gretsch. So a few weeks ago, I put out a video detailing how when I take a guitar home from the store, I actually proceed to set it up, get it ready to play. Of course, every guitar that comes home from the store could use a little bit of TLC. Most of the time, it's been sitting on a rack, it's been played by lots of people, and who knows what has happened to both the fretboard and the strings. So in that video, I had just taken home my Gretsch 2420T, and wanted to show you what I did to set it up. Now, I've been playing on this guitar since then just about every single day, and you can see it is quite a bit dirtier than it was when I was finished with the setup. But all that being said, this guitar has really impressed me. It is my very first fully hollow body guitar, and I have to say it has already become one of my very favorites. So let's detail some specs. So this Gretsch is got a maple body, and that is both the front and back is maple. Of course, a gloss finish, as you can see. It's got a set neck, and the neck wood is natto. I've never heard of that before. Natto wood. It is a gloss neck, which I would say would probably be the only thing on this guitar that I would change. I just find gloss necks always to be just a little bit sticky as I sweat and play. The scale length is 24 3/4, so it's a Gibson style scale length. And of course, it's got a rosewood fingerboard. It's got a Gibson style radius. It's a 12-inch radius on the frets with medium jumbo frets. It's 22 frets, and I do love the pearl inlays on the blocks. I think it's really pretty. It's an HH, so unlike normal Gretsches, the low-end 2420Ts don't have true Filtertron pickups. They are looking like Filtertrons, but they're actually regular humbuckers. So that's kind of a downside. It doesn't have any special electronics. The one thing I can say that I do love, the volume control being here, the master volume that Gretsch does, I really think that's kind of a nice place for it, especially on a larger body where the other controls are kind of far away. Having the master volume close to the cutaway is kind of nice. Of course, it also has a Bigsby, which if you saw in that video, you know is a little bit of a challenge. But I think overall, this is a really beautiful guitar. So like I said, 22 frets, Gibson scale length, feels great to play. If you're into the rockabilly scene or anything like that, it's great. It's pretty loud, so I never play this after hours after my son goes to sleep because, even without amplification, it's a fairly loud guitar. Let me go ahead and just play a chord for you just to see how loud it is. This is just going to come through my mic. I mean, just a simple C chord. Now, you'll hear some fret buzzing. This is set up very low. I set this action up just about completely down on the deck for the Tune-o-matic bridge. The neck is just about dead straight, and you do get a little bit of buzzing, but I'm at like 1.2 or 1.25 millimeters at the 12th fret. So this is a very, very low action. I don't mind the frets buzzing because generally I'm not playing it unamplified, and as long as you're playing chords that are cleanly fretted, it's not too bad. There is absolutely some action, some buzz on the frets when you're playing single notes, but like I said, it doesn't bother me too much because I'm typically playing amplified, and the sound of the hollow body is really just a room sound. But like I said, it is a fairly loud hollow body. It's full thickness, so it's fully hollow, so there's no center support column like there would be in a semi-hollow body, which has its pros and cons. So it is, of course, louder in the room, but the big downside, of course, is if you turn up the gain, this guitar loves to feed back. Now, that's not a bad thing all the time. I actually kind of think that the feedback situation is kind of beautiful. It generally feeds back using the A, like an open A, right? So it's kind of cool because you can manipulate that using the Bigsby. So if you use feedback as part of your musical culture, it is kind of a cool tool to have in the toolbox. The other thing that I noticed, or that I discovered using this, it's my very first Bigsby, like I said in the setup video. and I love it. Like, love, 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 love the Bigsby. I have other guitars with tremolos. You know, my Fenders, of course, have Fender tremolos. I've used guitars with Floyd Roses. They all feel kind of a little bit excessive in my opinion. The Bigsby just, it has this beautiful fluttery sound, and you can't really bend it too far down, but that's not really a bad thing. You know, it allows you to just add this beautiful accent. I just love how it works. It's easy. I actually think that the bar placement on a Bigsby is just about perfect. This one is, it can swing completely out of the way, so if you want to leave it in the down position, so it's out of your, if you're strumming and you want to leave it completely out of your way. But I generally don't. I actually leave it there, and I don't find that it gets in the way. In fact, I almost find if I'm not playing a part, I rest my hand on it, and it's a very comfortable place for your hand to sit. This has really become a daily driver guitar for me, and I never thought it would be. I thought this would be a great, you know, accent guitar for guitars, you know, different recordings that I'm doing or whatever, but this has become a daily driver, and not just for, you know, rockabilly type stuff, but it also plays great blues. It's got, I think, beautiful sounding electronics. You know, this is a $500 guitar, and for a $500 guitar, I have seen much, much worse from all sorts of different manufacturers. The cutting and the carving on the neck and on the fretboard is beautiful. The F-holes are clean, and they're actually painted or bound inside. It looks like black binding. It might be black paint, but it's very smooth. I don't really notice a whole lot of like rough edges. I've seen some other F-carved guitars that are in this price range, and they have kind of gnarly edges on them, and they're just not clean and pristine. This is absolutely pristine. It's a beautiful guitar, brand new. Like I said, $500. I paid just over $350 for it. So great deals be had used. It's like a quality acoustic guitar as far as the construction is, but it sounds great. It takes distortion well. Now, I wouldn't suggest playing metal with this guitar. It's certainly not what it's built for. It's not what the pickups are made for. But as far as classic rock, rockabilly, blues, of course, jazz is this is a great instrument for jazz players. I'm blown away for the price point. This is just a stunning instrument. I find that the tuners are great. They're super stable. They're not branded tuners. They're just sort of your traditional cheap metal tuners, but I think that they work great. They're pretty stable. Of course, you know, these kind of headstocks and sort of the Gibson type headstocks, they're not always known for the best in tuning stability at the nut, you know, because of that wide splay. And of course, adding a tremolo doesn't help. But I've actually not found this guitar to go out of tune very easily. It's really a pick up and play kind of instrument, and it's been very impressive in that respect. So with that, we're going to just hop over and listen to just a few quick sound samples. I know you've heard a few already. I am, again, using the Nux Amp Academy, or Nuex Amp Academy, Nux, Nuex, I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. The Amp Academy is become my go-to for recording tones, not just for this channel, but for any of the recordings that I'm doing in my musical endeavors. All right, so what'd you think? Did the guitar sounds change your mind on what a hollow body can sound like? I've been so impressed with the guitar. The fit and finish of this guitar is outstanding. The fret job on this guitar may be one of the very best, competing with my American-made Fender. It is just, the edges are rolled beautifully. They're bull-nosed, almost like the Latitude guitar that I reviewed early on in this channel's life. They're beautifully rolled. There's no fret sprout. The binding is really well done. It's clean. There's no real flaws in the finish along the edges where you might see them as the guitar meets the neck meets the body. The rosewood is a beautiful color. It's a nice dark color. Now, I did oil this when I first got it, as you saw in that previous video, but it has maintained that beautiful chocolate color. It's just beautiful. Like I said, the finish on this guitar is excellent. I love the Bigsby. I found that, playing both Strats and Super Strats with, Floyd Roses, the Bigsby just adds the right amount of expression. I've just been totally blown away. Are there better guitars on the market than this? Yeah, for quite a lot more money. But for $549, I find that this guitar may be one of the very best values for the dollar. Now, who's this guitar for? Aspiring rockabilly players, yes, of course. If you love Elvis, Elvis's guitar player for most of his career played a Gretsch, of course, a American-made, very expensive classic Gretsch, but a Gretsch nonetheless. If you love Brian Setzer or Brian Setzer Orchestra, Stray Cats, any of those, of course, he's known for playing his Gretsch. Again, American-made, very expensive. He actually has a signature series through Gretsch. But if you just want to get started in those genres, this guitar is awesome. It's also great if you're into old school electric blues, if you like jazz. It has so many tones. It's one of those guitars that's really versatile. I feel like maybe the only thing I wouldn't play with this guitar would be like metal. And I think probably that goes for most people. It just doesn't look like a metal guitar, doesn't feel like a metal guitar. It's not really a shreddy neck, although the neck is much thinner than you'd think for a guitar of this sort of style. It's a very flat kind of U-shaped neck. I love it. I think it's very comfortable with a flatter radius neck. It's got the Gibson 12-inch radius neck. Everything bends and plays really nice. I've been really impressed. There are other guitars that have some similar features that are in this price range, but they don't have the fit and finish that I found that this guitar has. In fact, a lot of them have kind of nasty routing on the F holes. This does not. It doesn't have any of those issues. Really impressed with Gretsch's quality control. Now, maybe I got lucky and this is, an oddball, but I have to say I've played other Gretsch's in guitar stores and I found them all to be really good, like really surprisingly good. So if you haven't thought Gretsch before, might be something to consider. In fact, I'm considering buying a Gretsch solid body for a review here on the channel. I think it might be a really cool guitar. I've seen some out there that are Gibson-esque and I kind of have an obsession with bursts right now. So that might be a great guitar to try and review. So down below, let me know if you'd like to see that review. But with that all being said, I really hope this has been helpful for you. I've had just an absolute ball reviewing this guitar. It's one of my favorites. It's gonna be around for a long time, I think. Unless I decide to upgrade to a better Gretsch, which that may happen in the future. The one thing I can say that I wish this guitar did have was proper Filtertrons. I'm not sure if I mentioned that earlier, but the pickups are humbucker, not Filtertron. So they are a little bit more powerful than a traditional Filtertron, a little more output, but not much. They look Filtertron-esque, so they feel great. They feel great. They look cool. Yeah, really not a lot bad to say about this guitar at all. The fit and finish, the price is fabulous, $549 at the last look on the major retailers. So boy, you can't beat that for this price. If you're someone who is just starting out, this is a great first or even second guitar. I think, there's really very little I can say that's negative about this. So has this been helpful? I hope it has. Please comment down below. Are you planning on buying this guitar? Did this review help you make that decision? Do you own this guitar? Have you found the same things I found? Is the quality as good as my copy is? Because of course, guitars are instruments that have quite a lot of hand touch going into them, so there's always going to be some variation. So is your guitar as good? Is it better? Love to hear down below what you think. And with that, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. I'm trying to build this channel up, putting out lots of new content every week, and I hope that you'll come along for the journey. So as always, take care, and I'll see you next time.